So I wanted to talk today about something that I do that I wanted to offer as a suggestion or an idea to other DMs. This is really less of an opinion piece, though I am going to call it an opinion because it's kind of mostly on topic. Um, it's something that I do, and I've done it for a long time, and I think it's a really good idea. I've had great success with it. So I want to give it out there to the greater community and see what you can do with it. When I run games, I run in my own setting. And I don't run modules. I create all of my D&D campaigns from scratch. In my setting, I create situations where the player characters have tremendous agency with which to affect the world and the way that the world changes over time. Big epic scale world shaking events that the players are now involved in and that they have a say in how these things turn out. That's not super unusual. What's unusual is that I combine this with the fact that my world is persistent across campaigns. When I run a campaign, I usually run it like a generation or two after my previous campaign, which means that I get to deal with the fallout and the consequences of the previous campaign. In particular, what happens to the characters after a campaign, or between campaigns, I guess would be more appropriate. Which means that if a player is in more than one of my campaigns, they can see their old character, either meet them if they're still alive, or hear about them if they are not still alive, maybe find out what happened to them after the campaign, for better or worse. And sort of realize that what they do does affect this world in a way that is more meaningful than just, like everyone lived happily ever after the end. If they make a big decision, one of the big decisions that player characters in my campaigns get to make, that has consequences going forward for this world. It will affect the way that the people live, which kind of makes it a little bit more significant. Rather than like, oh, you have saved the world, which is obviously good, yeah, and now the campaign is over and we're never going to deal with this setting again, or, we're going to reset continuity or go to somewhere where none of this even mattered, So generally speaking, what I do is I have, it's almost like a living campaign that resets every so often because we start a new campaign. But in these new campaigns, it's still connected to the previous campaign. And I would encourage more DMs to do this. I know a lot of people run modules, or very contained storylines where you don't really do anything that's outside of these specific kind of local events. But what I would encourage you to do is design your campaigns in such a way that the players not only have agency, but also it is connected to previous campaigns and future campaigns. I've had a villain that started out one campaign as just sort of a minor annoyance, and then this guy got really uppity and became the major villain of the next campaign. And the player characters lost that campaign. They died at the end. They failed to stop him. So his plans went through. And so my next campaign that I am now preparing for is going to be dealing with a world in which that bad guy got what he wanted, which was kind of a cataclysm. And so my next campaign is going to be about killing that guy so that civilization can restart and flourish once more. And I'm really looking forward to that because I know how much everyone who's played in either of the two previous campaigns hates this guy. Like, he's the worst. He's the actual worst. They hate him so much. And so even people who aren't playing in my next campaign, I tell them about it and they're like, oh yeah, I fucking hope they kill that guy. They need to kill that guy. They need to kill that guy. But we'll see. We'll see if it happens, And so what I really enjoy is sort of having this world that the players can explore and interact with and learn about because it is important to them, because they know that their actions have consequences going forward. They know that the world doesn't just end at the end of the campaign. It continues forward. And so it's kind of like the difference between watching a movie, and there could be movies that are really good, but at the end of the movie, that's it. versus watching a TV series that goes on and on, for what is it? Like, it's like 20 hours a season or something like that. There's way more development that you get out of a TV show than you get out of a movie. And so you tend to be more invested. So that's what I do with my campaigns. And I think if a lot more DMs did that kind of thing, you'd find more player engagement. I hear stories all the time about players kind of like, dicking around with their character. They don't really have any investment. They're going to do dumb stuff because if the character dies, oh well, they'll make another one. I think your players will be more invested in your campaign if they know that there are long-term ramifications for what happens in your current campaign, especially if you're running with the same group in each one. So yeah, this is going to be a really short video because I'm not expounding on a lot of deep stuff. I just encourage you to have continuity from one campaign to the next, and I think it would help your current campaign to know that there's another campaign coming that will be connected to this one, and that you'll be playing like the next generation or the generation after that. I think the one campaign that I did, and the next one took place 150 years later, and then this one that I'm preparing for will be like 80 years after that. Yeah, and it helps if you have your own setting. It doesn't have to be. You can do this with like Forgotten Realms. I think Forgotten Realms is a really boring setting in general, but you can. You just don't worry that much about canon. Which I never do. Whenever I play in a game that has like a canon setting, I don't really worry about canon that much. Like there's no one's going to enforce it. I try to follow canon in as far as I want the players to know what to expect from the world. So like if there's canon characters that are supposed to be in a particular place, I'll have those characters there because the players expect them to be there if they have read the book. But beyond that, like kind of anything can happen. No characters are sacred. When I run games, people will die. But the player characters are the heroes of the story. They are the ones who are sort of intervening in the affair, or not in the affairs of, but the flow of events from past to future, the direction, the destiny of the world. Sort of like they can grab onto it and divert it into a different direction through great effort, and if they are fortunate enough to survive, which sometimes they are. But yeah, I think it will improve the quality of your campaigns to do this one simple trick, at the risk of sounding clickbaity.